guest today, Mr. C.S. Liu, joining us from Singapore. C.S. Liu is a graduate from Iowa State University, and he has agreed to join us today to talk to us a little bit about his experience at the university and how his education and experience at Iowa State, what impact that has made on him being so successful in his career. Mr. C.S. Liu grew up in Malaysia. He came to Iowa State University to study agriculture and eventually choosing a double major in agronomy and pest management. After graduation, he worked in the ag chemical industry before forming his own company, Pacific Agri-Science, in the late 1990s. Besides the global distribution of agricultural inputs, CS has taken the company in the direction of mergers and acquisitions. CS, welcome and thank you for joining us. Please, the presentation is yours now. Let me unmute you. Okay, you are unmuted. There you go, but we cannot see you.
All right.
There we go. Okay, we can see you now.
Thanks a lot, Jorge, for the introduction. Okay, so this is a picture I hope all of you can see. My car just outside my house, right, where I am right now speaking to all of you, okay? And that plant there with the beautiful red flowers is bougainvillea, okay? This is another picture of me and my car in Gardens by the Bay. And at the back, you can see those three towers. That's Marina Bay Sands. That's a Sands, you know, Las Vegas Sands. It's owned by Las Vegas Sands. There's a casino and a beautiful resort. I hope some of you will be able to come and see it. Of course, those of you from Malaysia, you probably have already been here, right? So it was my second son who said, Dad, you should show those pictures to illustrate your success in your career after graduating from Iowa State. I thought, yeah, that's a great idea. Okay, so that's a BMW i8. Okay, and this is a roadster version. All right, so so much for the car. Okay, so I just want to now tell you a little bit more about my internship. Okay, one of the major advantages of studying in Iowa State, for me anyway, was the ability or the chance to work off campus. I think Jorge mentioned earlier that there are campus jobs that you could work on. But I was very fortunate because I took up agronomy. I majored in agronomy and pest management. And in the agronomy program, there was a requirement for a 6-month internship before I could graduate. So I could work on campus to fill those 6 months of internship required, but it also allowed me to work off campus. So I was very fortunate indeed to be able to get a job with a summer job with a company called American Cyanamid, and they are headquartered in New Jersey. Okay, so I got a job. I applied, you know, to many companies. And this was one of the companies that gave me a very favorable reply and actually offered me a summer job. And this picture here shows me being in Nebraska in a farm. So it was a great experience, absolutely incredible. Because once you get out to the field, you find so many things that you don't get to cover on campus. You know, on campus, they can give you a lot of theoretical knowledge, but there's nothing like being hands-on in the farm. Okay, so I studied agronomy for a year, and this picture here shows me being in Tifton, Georgia. So the earlier picture was in York, Nebraska, and this one was in Tifton, Georgia, in a cotton field. So here showing me driving a sprayer, you know, to spray new chemicals on the test plots. So this was my great experience. You know, how did this, okay, this is another picture in Tifton, Georgia, spraying what we call pre-emergent herbicide Okay, so this herbicide is a brand new compound, right? Synthesized in the laboratories in New Jersey, and then brought over to Tifton, Georgia, for us to test it out in the field. Okay, so anyway, I just want to let you know what is so great about this internship. You know, these pictures that I'm showing now, when I came back to Malaysia and applied for a job with a company called Ciba-Geigy. Today, Ciba-Geigy is called Syngenta. It's one of the biggest agrochemical company in the world. Okay, anyway, I applied for a job with Ciba-Geigy. I brought along these pictures with me to the interview, and it was a fantastic help. I didn't really, prepare myself and say I must really excel in this interview and whatnot. I thought it was just a great idea to bring some pictures to show the panel of interviewers right there. You know what I did and all that, because what I believe in is pictures speak 1,000 words, right? Like earlier, I can say I have gained a lot of success and whatnot. I thought, great, I show you a couple of pictures of my car. That will tell you a lot more, right? So here, same concept. I took these pictures along, and I clinched the job. And a year later, when I was, when I resigned from the company to work for an American company called Uniroyal in Singapore, I was told by a colleague over there, the company that I was leaving, that you know what? You know how you got the job the day you went for interview? I said, no, tell me about it. He said, you were so impressive. You brought along pictures to show what you did in the US during your internship. As soon as you walked out of the door, the three guys who interviewed you said to themselves, let's not waste any more time. This is the guy we want. So all right, so have I illustrated to you the power of internships and the pictures that you should bring along when you go for interviews, to show people what you have done? So that's it. Okay, this picture here shows a picture of all the guests that were invited to my house last February for our 20th anniversary. This is my company's 20th anniversary. So these are all the guests. So we had a Hawaiian theme, right? So you can see everybody wearing a Hawaiian shirt. So I bought them in Thailand and brought them over, because in Thailand you can buy all these nice Hawaiian shirts in the market, night market, for a very good price. Okay, so this is 20 years. So my company, Pacific AgroScience, has been in existence for 20 years. So as I said earlier, I work for multinational companies, Ciba-Geigy, followed by Uniroyal, for an American company based in Connecticut. And I was based in Singapore. And then 7 years with New Farm, an Australian agricultural chemical company. I was still based in Singapore, and I look after the Asia Pacific region. So the education I had in Iowa State was extremely, extremely helpful in my career, as well as in the last 20 years operating my own agricultural chemical company. And I have a global network of clients, customers. In the last 3 or 4 years, I've been very active in mergers and acquisitions. I put together companies that want to buy another company, companies that want to sell, they want to exit, they want to, go and do something else. So I put together these buyers and sellers in a strategic way. I look at the strategic fit. I don't do the legal aspects or the commercial or the financial aspects of the deal. I basically tell company A and company B how they are so matched up that they ought to get married, right? So I'm a matchmaker for companies, and it's mainly focused in the agriculture arena, agriculture space, right? The big deal I did was 3 years ago between a French farmer cooperative and a Brazilian farmer cooperative based in Sao Paulo, where the French company bought a majority share of the Brazilian company. So right now I'm working on 3 other projects, all international. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm doing right now. So great education, everything I learned in Iowa State, everything I learned during the internships in Nebraska and Georgia were very, very critical for the success that I have had so far in my career as well as in my business, right? So one other thing I want to talk to you guys about is the research experience that I had. While I was in Iowa State, I actually did a couple of 500 level courses. You know, for Bachelor of Science degree, you only have to go up to 400 levels. But beyond 400, well, of course, it's of 500. That's usually done in a master's program. I didn't do a master's. I could have done it. In fact, one of the professors of mine asked me when I was close to graduation whether I wanted to pursue a master's degree under him. I said, no, professor, actually, I've been away from home, you know, from mom, and I just wanted to go home and see her because I didn't go home at all in the 2.5 years that I was in Iowa State because of the 2 summers of internships with American Cyanamid. So I didn't go home at all during that period that I was in Iowa State. So anyway, I did 500 level, a couple of courses, and also did a research project because I was so inspired by what I did in the internships on herbicides, brand new herbicides that were synthesized in the lab in Princeton in New Jersey that was tested out in the field. I actually did a study in a lab under a professor in a soil science professor in Iowa State. A private research project, and it was about how this herbicide affects the soil microbial activities, right? So I wrote up a paper. It wasn't a master's degree paper, but still I had to write up a paper, and I think I had credits for that as well. And that was extremely, extremely useful as well, because when I graduated from Iowa State, I actually went to Princeton, New Jersey to visit the boss of mine who was based in Nebraska. You know, I told you I spent a summer with him, right, in York, Nebraska. So he got promoted to Princeton, and I went to visit him. And he took me to his boss, the director of research. And in the conversation with him, at the end of it, he actually said, CS, if you want the job of Jim in Nebraska, you can go back and do that job. Can you believe it, guys? I only had a bachelor's degree. All the research scientists of American Science had a PhD. So if I had accepted that job, it was a great, great honor. Great, unbelievable, really unbelievable to be offered a job that was meant for PhD candidates or graduates. So if I had accepted that, I would have made history in maybe the entire agricultural chemical industry in the US, not just American science, because these jobs are meant for PhD graduates, right? I didn't even have a master's degree. So I would say that research project that I did in Iowa State was extremely useful. Of course, all the reports that I was writing and filing from York, Nebraska, as well as Tifton, Georgia, to the headquarters in Princeton, New Jersey, were pretty, I guess, impressive. You know, they one of my bosses from Atlanta, Georgia, he came down to the field in Tifton, Georgia, one day, and he told me, guess what, CS, some of the reports that you wrote on your work done in Tifton were actually used as good examples of how they should be done. That was amazing feedback. All right. So guys, remember these useful internships, useful courses, opportunities from Iowa State are just so invaluable in getting me started, you know, with the right footing in the agricultural chemical industry, right? And today I'm a writer, I'm a contributor of articles, industry articles to Agribusiness Global. which is based in Ohio. Okay, so this is an worldwide industry magazine, right, from Meister Publication. So I'm a contributor to the magazine, articles that I write, insightful articles from a global perspective of the agricultural chemical industry. And I'm also an advisory board member of this magazine. So once a year, twice a year, we do in conferences in the US or outside the US. As I said, I'm one of the advisory board members. Okay, so those are the two things I have covered so far, internships and research experience, okay? So I know later, maybe if there's time, I want to talk a little bit about living on campus. But
Absolutely, absolutely.
I should stop now.
Thank you. That was really great that you shared this amazing experience, multiple amazing experiences with us and the students. And even, I'm not talking about only the students that are attending and have been offered admission looking to join, but I'm talking about our current international students that are part of the panel as well, listening to your experiences. CS is a very esteemed member of the Iowa State University community, and I'm very happy and honored that Joe has connected us. He connected us last week, and he is joining us part of that connection today. So that's really amazing, CS.
CS, were you involved in any clubs or organizations while you were on campus?
No, not really, because I was only there for 2.5 years. I was supposed to do the degree over 3 years. And why not 4 years? It's because when I was in Malaysia, I did what we call A levels under the British education system. It's like pre-university. So if I have gone to the UK university, I would have only to spend 3 years. So in Iowa State, it was supposed to be 4 years, but then I did the A levels and I got 49 credits out of the 192 that I needed to graduate. So I skipped the freshman year and went straight into sophomore. So I didn't really have time, to join any clubs because during the 2 summers, I was also out in the field, doing my internships. So that was, I guess, good enough for me, the internships.
That's great. Yeah, those are fantastic experiences. And thank you again for sharing about that. Next question is actually about living and eating on campus. So CS, why don't you start us off and talk to us about your experience when you were on campus?
Yeah, the first 2 years I stayed on campus in a dorm in what's called the towers. I understand from Joe that the 4 buildings over there, I think there's only 1 left standing. The other 3 had been torn down. Those were 10-story buildings, so I stayed over there. And that year that I entered Iowa State, there was a shortage of housing on campus in the dorms. So I actually had to stay in the basement of one of the buildings for a couple of weeks before I was assigned a room over in the towers. So it was a great experience. I shared room with an American student, also from Iowa. So I got to learn the American culture, because prior to going to Iowa State, I had no exposure at all to anybody from, Western country. So it was good that I stayed, together with an Iowan who was also I think he was a freshman student. So that was a great experience. The second year, I shared room with a guy from Kenya, from Africa, but he's not African. He's actually a British passport holder. His father had a big ranch in Kenya, and that was a great experience. He actually majored in agronomy as well. So it was a great 2 years, each for 3 quarters. And at the time that I was in ISU, it wasn't a semester system. It was a quarter system. So basically you have we had four quarters. The summer one was an exception, for anyone who wanted to do some summer courses, they could stay on in the summer, but most of the students would have gone home. Or in my case, I actually went to York, Nebraska, as well as the following summer in Tifton, Georgia. So yeah, basically fantastic cultural experience. You get to do what the guys in the dormitories would do, in a quarter. There would be parties, there would be whatever, where, if our floor were to hold a party, and we would invite, people from other floors to come and join the parties. And likewise, when other floors had their parties, we would get invited to join them as well. So those were the main activities, on a given quarter on campus. And then the last 6 months after I finished my summer internships, the 2 summers, I actually chose to stay off campus. So I had a little apartment that I rented just across the street from Lake Laverne. So that was a great experience, because I had to learn how to look after myself and cook for myself, because in the dormitories, you just eat, in the dorms. But once you're on your own, you got to take care of yourself. So I had that great experience as well. So all in all, fantastic experience living in Ames, 2 years or 6 quarters in a dorm, and then 2 quarters, outside of the dormitories.
That's wonderful. Thank you, CS, for sharing your experience.